Hello everyone, and welcome back, reagents. Firstly, thank you all so much for over 10,000 subscribers. I know we're at about 11,000 now, and that this video is a little over a month late, but that's because I recently moved to a rural area that has no area for a fiber optic cable, so I had to contact Mr. Musk for Starlink, but it took way too fucking long to show up, so here we are. Anyways, now that I'm finally back online, let's celebrate 10,000 subscribers properly with a Q&A special. So thank you to everyone who submitted questions for the Q&A, as I genuinely appreciate it so much. As a little bit of a personal story, I remember when I was uploading videos into the void as a kid, I finally hit 100 subscribers. I was so excited, I wanted to celebrate the milestone, so I asked my audience of random people to ask me questions for a Q&A special, and of course I got no questions, and that made me really sad. So it really does warm my heart to be way older now and have had over 10,000 subscribers and the opportunity to ask you guys for questions and to receive over 50 different questions to answer. So thank you all again so much, as it genuinely warms my heart. So with that being said, let's finally start answering some of these questions, and allow me to set the mood.
Elon Musk, my family wants a meeting with you.
Alrighty, for our very first question, we have from Icky Bicky, and they ask, despite its obvious cuteness, why the dogs for your main avatar? So all the way back in 2021, me and my friend Trey were following this meme page called Sora.gif, who's like completely missing now, by the way. So Sora, if you're like randomly watching this, please come back. We miss you. But anyways, he has a friend named like Flamey Akira who also has a meme page. And on his page, he had a picture of the dogs with like mountains behind them, and it played Send Me On My Way by Rusted Root. Here, I'll play a little bit of the video really quick. So after we both laid our eyes on that beautiful post for the very first time, we just kept sending it to each other. Then eventually we made it our profile pictures on like everything. And then before we knew it, we were making edits of them dressed up as like our mains in the games we were playing. So like we were playing Siege, and I had him dressed up as Ace, and he had him dressed up as Montang, and it was a lot of fun. Eventually we would play We Were Here, and I would make an edit of them like kind of in the We Were Here gear, and I kept that one just for a long time because we just never made an edit after that, and I just never switched my profile picture. He ended up switching it, but I just kept it for the a very long time. And when I got into making YouTube videos, it was still my profile picture on YouTube. So eventually, while I was editing, I just kind of thought, what if I threw the dog like in the video while I'm talking, just so something else can show up on the screen? I thought it would be like a little bit more interactive. If you watch my Tools of Torment video, you'll actually see it perfectly. I barely used the dog at the beginning, and then like throughout the middle towards the end, he like starts showing up most. That was like the first video that I realized I wanted to use it as like a main avatar, as like a stand-in. So yeah. For our next question, we have iDarkStarX. Is the breed of dog you use to represent yourself in these videos a golden retriever? I'm not very good with identifying dog breeds. So this is a really good question. No, the dog that I use to represent myself is not a golden retriever. He's actually a Korean Jindo puppy, more specifically Jejuk, who is a South Korean internet meme dog from like the early 2000s, and he's the one from the meme post that I was talking before, where he's with Joshua, who's another meme dog but like originates from Mexico, who's way more popular than Jejuk is, but it's kind of known as Joshua and Friend, but I always call him Jejuk because he's more personal to me, you know. So moving on to our next question, we have from, sorry if I butcher this, Dawid Gracia. I'm not reading the rest of that. And they ask, what is your favorite horror movie of all time? So my favorite horror movie has to be either Saw 2 or Child's Play 2. I know it's both like sequel films, but they're both really good and the most influential horror movies that I probably watched growing up. But depending on the day you ask me, it kind of fluctuates. But I always do lean towards more of saying Saw 2 is my favorite horror movie. But I still really do love Child's Play 2. So moving on to our very next question, we have from CNR. Hello from New Zealand. I'm wondering, is your interest of the Outlast Trials solely with the Trials game or with all Outlast games? So my interest lies in the entire Outlast franchise as a whole. I've played the first game, Whistleblower, the second game. I've read all the Murkoff account comics to tie into the lore. I've read all the Murkoff collection comics to tie into Trials, and I've played everything that Trials has to offer. I started playing Outlast around the release of the second game, so I remember the whole waiting period for Trials to come out. But Trials really did sink me in with the lore way more than I was with the first two games, just because I'm very, very intrigued on what's going on at the Sinyala facility at the end of Outlast 2, because we still see that it's running, but obviously Otto and Aurora have to be dead at that point. The prime assets got to be older. So does Murkoff get new prime assets when old ones die, or do they like remake the prime assets as like a computer, since we're in modern day, like a robot, since they're all like family archetypes, so they're kind of special and can't be interchanged. And I'm also just really intrigued about Amelia's whole story, because I feel like, spoiler alerts here, but I feel like Amelia has a little bit to do with the creation of Temple Gate, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. And for our next question, Aiden asks, what's your most favorite trial of all time? Ooh, my favorite trial of all time. So, I mean, if you look back at the ultimate Outlast Trials tier list, it's probably a little outdated because I'd probably move some trials and MKs around now. But I have to say my favorite trial as of right now is probably Silence the Idol, just because I love Otto and Aurora. I love the main objective. It's very similar to Pervert the Futterman, which was like my favorite MK before, or not MK, my favorite trial beforehand. So I definitely say that it goes to Silence the Idol, just because it's like Pervert the Futterman, but I get to deal with Otto and Aurora, my favorite prime assets. It's a fucking win for me. So moving on to our next question, Gentle Shade asks, what's your prediction on the next future prime asset? So obviously it would have to be somebody that fills the family dynamic, and we already have a mother, a father, a baby, a grandma, a grandpa, and an aunt. So I feel like the next best step would probably be like an uncle, like probably that weird fucked up uncle that you don't see. Like he's like a very rare family member, and he's like the weird fucking uncle. I think a weird creepy uncle would be a pretty good family member. But moving on to our next question, Catherine Payne asks, Red Barrels is going to create a new prime asset based on you. What are its skills, backstory, and motivations? So if Red Barrels was going to create a prime asset based off of me, it would probably take a lot of influence in like what I like in horror and how I would go about things if I was a murderous sociopath. So I would like to take a twisted page out of the book of Saw and the book of the fucking origami killer with stupid flawed logic, because what I'd like is to abduct reagents within the trial grounds and take them to these little like Saw-esque traps, and then they have to rely on another reagent to come save them. But if they're playing solo and you get caught by this prime asset and he puts you in like the trap, you have to break out of it yourself. I would just do something that's trap based and influenced by Saw, just because that's kind of how I would go about doing things. So yeah, the skill would be just him drugging you, I guess, and taking you to a trap. I feel like that would be unique. Waiting on Saw Genesis, I guess. So while we wait, let's answer this next big question coming from Cathedral of Smile. Congratulations with your growth and recognition by the company. Aw, thanks, man. 1. Why is your preferred avatar a puppy? 2. If you had a chance to add any character from previous games to the series to Trials as prime assets or Expops, ignoring the obvious continuity issues, who will it be? Have a pleasant rest of your days. Well, first and foremost, thank you so much for the kind words, and to answer your first question that I kind of answered earlier, basically I found an Instagram post with the picture, which was my first time ever seeing J-Juke. I enjoyed that picture so much, I made it my profile picture for years, I made countless edits of it, and eventually I just started using it as my main avatar, and I dressed him up as a reagent, and here we are. But to answer your second question, I would probably add the necrophilic variants from the first Outlast game, just because I feel like we could use a little bit more of that in Outlast Trials. Obviously, I'm fucking joking. If I were to see another returning character, it would probably have to be the one and only Richard Traeger from Outlast 1. I know that might be a little bit of a basic answer, but I just absolutely love his voice acting and just how he's chasing you, trying to torture you, but he's talking to you like you're his best fucking friend. I really like that. So if I were to have any Outlast character come to the Senyala facility, it would definitely be Richard Traeger, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he even toured the Senyala facility at one point in time while he was still alive. So, for our very next question, Road asks, do you wear wigs? Have you worn wigs? Will you wear wigs? When will you wear wigs? No I do not. No I have not. Maybe. But moving on to our next question, Ladybug Stinkbug asks, what do you think the new Expop's gonna be like? I am so sorry, Ladybug Stinkbug, as this video was supposed to be out like a month and a half ago, but because of all the internet problems, Project Boneyard is already out with the new Expop, the Biter, so I can't really guess on what the new Expop is going to be like since we already know what the Expop is like. So what I will say instead is when my Project Boneyard video comes out is I will have a section dedicated just for the Biter and how they work, and I will have a later video coming out ranking and explaining every Expop in the game, where of course the Biter will have their own section. So moving on to our next question, Shockwaves Boob asks, other than Coil's upcoming environment, are there any hypothetical MK challenges or trial environments you'd like to see in the game at some point? Yes, I want them to add a water park trial environment more than anything in the game. Like before that, I would have said a shopping mall, but we finally already have that. So yeah, my number one contender for a trial environment I want is a water park. And I honestly would have said the second would have been like a farm, but we have that now in the sense of prison farm. So I'll say I want more MK challenges in the prison farm to show us more of just the farm and not just the prison. For our next question, Space Gambler 777 asks, why did you start YouTube and why Outlast and DBD? So I basically started YouTube about 10 years ago as a kid. I was just like uploading into the void and like live streaming into the void. Eventually, I think I got like 300 subscribers off doing all that. And then I uploaded my band code video, which got like 70,000 views, and it jumped me up to like 800 subscribers. And after I hit 800, I was like, all right, I'm going to try to like actually do something. So I delisted all my old videos and I started working on, I think it was my Chucky, why Chucky should have been a full chapter, because I was just so mad that Chucky wasn't a full chapter. And I really wanted to like verbally kind of put out the idea for a full Chucky chapter. And so I did that. The video did pretty well. And then I'm like, all right, I will do more of this. So I made other chapter retrospectives, kind of going over previous Dead by Daylight chapters and kind of looking back at them after years had gone by. Those videos didn't do too well, but I definitely enjoyed making them. But what really happened one day is I had 5 separate conversations about the Outlast Trials in 1 week, like to different people. They were hour-long conversations of basically me just explaining what the game is, how to play it and all that. And I kind of got verbally exhausted explaining it to so many different people that I thought I might as well just make a huge Outlast Trials guide on my YouTube channel to help people. So instead of wasting my voice, I could just send them the link to my video and have them like watch a fun little video and figure out the game. And that video did way better than I could have expected. And now I love making more videos on Trials. I don't know if I will make as much DBD videos as I once did, but I definitely do still want to put out Dead by Daylight content, even if it is just live streaming down the line. But moving on to our next question from Colin the Critter, do you have an all-time favorite trial? I think I actually already answered this one earlier, but yes, it is Silence the Idol and like Pervert the Futterman. I kind of want to say they're both up there. Like sometimes I'll probably answer Idol, sometimes I'll probably say Pervert. They're both really good, okay? But for our next question, Hamilton But Gayer asks, if you could give any credit to Franco, what's your favorite part about him? That's a tough one. I mean, if I have to give any credit to Franco about anything, it would probably be the fact that he was able to have sex with his own stepmom. Now, I know that probably sounds weird, but hear me out. Franco is this like butt ugly guy who can't have like sexual proper relationships with other women. Like he's really ugly and he has to get prostitutes and he has to intimidate other women to sleep with him. But no, the woman who was married to like the mafia Don was like, she was attracted enough to ugly Franco to sleep with him. And Franco, like knowing that, you know, that's his dad's girlfriend and like doing all that, that's like such a ballsy big fucking move that it's almost like you kind of have to respect it to like a certain extent. But of course it's fucking crazy. For our next question, Charlotte Griffith asks, if you were to create a prime asset, what would they look and be like to fit into the roster we already have, / what do you feel like we're missing? So like I said earlier with the other prime asset question, I feel like we definitely need an uncle. So I'm gonna kind of go off that a little bit more with this question. So we're gonna add the uncle to the game and he's gonna be tall, the same size as like a big grunt. He's also gonna be the fastest prime asset in the game. And he's like, you know, your big creepy Uncle Lester, and he chases you down and he tries to tickle you, but like kind of not like that, like kind of in a weird tickle way. You know what I'm saying? Like you kind of like weird tickle vibes, kind of sexually deviant tickle vibes. But I don't know if we need another sexual deviant in the Outlast Trials. We already have a lot, but also it would be on theme to have like a perverted, sexually deviant, creepy Uncle Lester prime asset. I don't know. I feel like that would be cool, but we also could really use a family pet. And I've seen a really cool community concept about that. But I think there's another question about that later, so I'm gonna wait till later to bring that one up. Nextly, No Shrimps asks, have you played the other Outlast games? Yes, I have. I've played Outlast 1, Whistleblower, 2, and of course, Trials. For our next question, Frosty Was asks, how long have you been into the Outlast community, playing the game that is? Well, I mean, I think I really joined the Outlast community when I started uploading my videos. I mean, that's when I started contributing to it. I had been following the community ever since I had played the second game for the first time, which was all the way back in, I believe, 2017. But my first ever experience with Outlast was playing it on my cousin's PlayStation because it was like the free game of the month. I think that was in 2013 or I think it might have been in 2014. But that was my first ever time playing it. So I've kind of been there since the beginning, but I didn't really kind of lock in until like Outlast 2. Moving on to our next question from Swifty Cheese. What's your favorite Disney princess and why? My favorite Disney princess has to be Mulan. And why? Well, let's be honest here, dude. Let's get down to business to defeat the Huns. But in all seriousness, Mulan is definitely my favorite Disney princess movie, and the Disney movie I probably saw the most growing up. I mean, there's probably some others I've seen more, but oriented about Disney princesses, 100% Mulan. Heading on over to the next question, Dabo asks, how can I become an unrenowned GOAT of the Outlast Trials? Well, Dabo, I'm really glad that you asked. And for everyone else watching who's really interested on becoming an unrenowned GOAT, all that you need to do is head on over to the channel membership, and for only $7.49 a month, you can become an unrenowned GOAT, allowing you to get exclusive loyalty badges and a member shoutout at the end of each video where I will thank you for supporting the channel. So if you want to support me and become an unrenowned GOAT, I'd greatly appreciate it. But anyways, alrighty, this next question is quite a big one from Nayu Push. Firstly, do you think a new prime asset will come out that will top Otto and Aurora for you? Secondly, when did you start playing the Outlast Trials? 3, would there be a point where you stream on Twitch? 4, if you became a princess overnight, what color would your dress be? And lastly, if a mermaid-themed prime asset came out, would you like or dislike? I know that sounds dumb, but I love mermaids, and I think it would be so cool for a water park-based location where they experiment in the water with people who wander around. Alright, let's start breaking down these questions. Firstly, I don't think that they could come up with a new prime asset that would top Otto and Aurora for me, unless they came up with something more disturbing than incestuous conjoint twins, which in my personal opinion is like one of the most fucked up things the mind could ever conjure up. And because they exist in the Outlast Trials, I don't think there's topping them, like, at all. Secondly, when did I start playing the Outlast Trials? I forget the exact date, I'll put it on screen, but it was the first ever closed beta, back when Kill the Snitch was called Snitches Get Stitches. I remember playing that in closed beta, and that was the first ever time I played Outlast Trials. If I were to stream, where would it be? Or if I were to stream, would it be on Twitch? No, I'd probably stream on YouTube. I mean, if I were to stream on Twitch, I would make a YouTube community post about it, but I'm more inclined to stream on YouTube because I've already kind of built my audience here, and I have been thinking about getting into streaming, so if I were to stream, it'd be on YouTube. If I became a princess overnight, what color would my dress be? It would be purple. Lastly is the mermaid question. Yes, I do think a water park trial environment would be awesome. I'm not too sure about how like a mermaid killer or like a mermaid prime asset would work, but I think that is like a cool concept. But yeah, I definitely 100% agree with the water park. For our next question, Hotline the OG asks, does it jiggle? Dude, of course it fucking jiggles. Florida Man asks, if you could play as any prime asset in the Outlast Trials, which prime asset would you want to play as? Yeah, Otto and Aurora. 100% Otto and Aurora. I think it'd be fun to play as Gooseberry too. But yeah, Otto and Aurora. Jazzy Fool says, Liminal, please answer this question. Are you Franco's How High? Are you truly the self-renowned? Wait, what? Self-renowned GOAT of the Outlast Trials if you're not sucking on his pacifier? Okay, real question. Besides DBD and Outlast, are there any other games you'd like to cover that isn't in a horror genre? So firstly, I'm definitely not Franco's How High. I actually, if given the opportunity, I'd take that Lupara, shove it down his throat, and blow his fucking brains out. But I am not actually the self-renowned GOAT of the Outlast Trials. I'm actually the unrenowned GOAT of the Outlast Trials. And you're probably wondering, oh, well, Liminal, doesn't unrenowned mean unknown? So wouldn't you want to be renowned? No. I'm actually unknown. That's kind of like the whole shtick. Is I'm the unrenowned GOAT, so I'm not very known. Except I am kind of known now. But I don't know, I still like the title, so I'm still going by the unrenowned GOAT. But the real question, besides DBD, are there any other horror games that I would like to cover that isn't in a horror genre? I mean, probably not. I'm more inclined, if I wasn't to cover anything Outlast Trials related, it would either be DBD or just something else to do with horror. I'm just 100% a horror fan, and I couldn't imagine doing anything non-horror related. Outlast Enjoyer asks, what is your favorite Outlast character? Just found out about you like 2 days ago and love the vids. Well, first and foremost, thank you for the kind words. And secondly, my favorite Outlast character would have to be the GOAT, Miles Upshur. I mean, he went into the asylum, he went through a fucking night of torture and torment, and then, I mean, spoilers of course, got possessed by the Wall Rider, which means he was a suitable host, which Murkoff was taking so long to find, and now he's like possessed and got these like ungodly powers, and I don't know what the fuck's going on with him, but yeah, for sure Miles Upshur. I know it's a basic choice, but yeah, Miles Upshur. But also, like, if you wanted me to answer like an enemy instead of a playable character, I think Sullivan Noth is very cool and interesting, and also the fact that he is a previous reagent is super cool and makes me fuck with him like 1,000 times more than I used to. Callis10 asks, what is your favorite and least favorite addition Red Barrels has added? My least favorite addition would definitely have to be Franco. No, I'm fucking joking. No, I don't hate like a prime asset that fucking much that it would be my least favorite addition. That is a joke. But my least favorite addition that Red Barrels has added to the Outlast Trials would probably be... I don't know. I love everything that the game has. I don't know. I don't like Toxic Shock and Cold Snap. I feel like they're very similar. They're probably my least favorite variator. And I mean, if that's like, I feel like that's probably the answer I'd come up with. And then my favorite addition is the shopping mall and Otto and Aurora. And I just wanted the shopping mall forever. Ever since I started playing the game in goddamn beta, I wanted a shopping mall, and they gave it to me, and they gave it to me with the coolest prime asset ever. And thank you, Red Barrels. I love you. Mentrax asks, what is your hope/concerns for the future of the game? I would have to say probably my hope and concern is kind of like the same thing. It's how long they're going to continue like live support updating the Outlast Trials, and then also when are they finally going to start development on Outlast 3? Because I know the continued live service support for Trials has delayed Outlast 3 like for a very long time. And don't get me wrong, I absolutely love Outlast Trials to death. I love all the live updates. I love how consistent the team over at Red Barrels does amazing work. But I would love one day, even if they do kind of shift their priorities away from Trials and kind of have smaller updates where they kind of start working on Outlast 3. But I feel like they should only do that once Trials is kind of, they tell the story that they want to tell in Trials. There needs to be a point where it's no more environments, no more prime assets. Like, I think it does eventually need to reach that point. I know that kind of sounds sad, but I do want to see the Outlast series grow to Outlast 3 and 4, and I feel like it would be kind of impossible to do that if Outlast Trials runs indefinitely. Those Lonely Souls asks, I found your account a week ago, and you've helped me tremendously with so many things throughout these trials. I'd love to see what you do for a full video on Win the Truth. Also, who is your favorite prime asset and why? Also, what's better, brick or bottle? So firstly, my favorite prime asset is of course Otto and Aurora Cress. And why? Well, I just think that their character is firstly super fucking disgusting, gross, and one of the most disturbing things, like I said earlier, that the human mind can conjure up. And because something so gross, like conjoined incestual twins exist, I just think that's just so cool to have in a horror game. Like cool because it's so fucked up, you get it? And then also like because Otto being an optimist and Aurora being a pessimist, and them both being very skilled at their craft, being these politicians who pull the strings from behind the scenes and manipulating the media and doing like all this stuff because they're so smart, but hiding in the shadows because of like, you know, their biology. They're forced to like act that way. And I don't know, I just think it's really cool. And what's better, brick or bottle? Of course, there's nothing actually statistically better, but I'm a bigger fan of the brick. Buck asks, here's a question. How long do you plan on sticking with the Outlast Trials? Until the very end? Well, to quote my favorite good guy, me and the Outlast Trials will be friends,
I'm your friend to the end.
But yes, of course, I do plan on making content for the Outlast Trials indefinitely, like until they stop making content. And even past that, like when Outlast 3 eventually comes out, expect videos on that, of course. Just a chill fire Jason asks, can you please give us a step-on-step guide on how to be the unrenowned GOAT of the Outlast Trials? Well, of course, Jason. I'm glad you asked. And just like I told Dabo, if you head on over to the channel membership, I'm just fucking with you guys. I mean, if you want to become an unrenowned GOAT of the Outlast Trials, just call yourself one. It's a title that's free and available to everyone, but I mean, I like to call myself it personally. But I mean, if any of you do want to check out the channel membership, there's some pretty cool perks. Dumb Daboon asks, what made you choose the small dog as your profile avatar? Also, can we get a room tour in-game or in real life too? I don't know. Well, I answered that first question quite a few times already, so I'll move on to the second one. I mean, I just moved recently, so I don't have anything like too concrete and set up as like my proper setup, but I have a few older photos of where I used to live, my setup there. Basically, the idea is to make it look the same again, so here's a few photos of that. Panda Puke asks, kudos for getting a Red Barrel sponsor. Are there any other games, horror or not, that you plan on making content about in the future? Also, how does it feel having an objectively wrong opinion about who is the worst prime? Franco is the best hands down. JK lol. So first, thank you for the kudos. I really appreciate it. And for everyone who's still watching this far in the video, I still can't believe that I was able to do that. I've looked up to that studio like my whole life. They make nothing but the best horror games that I've been able to play growing up. They've created a franchise that I'm in love with. I love comics and I read their comics, and being able to make a sponsored video for them is probably one of the best things I've actually been able to do in my life. So just putting that out there. Anyways, in the future, I do not plan on making other videos like about non-horror related things, but I do plan on making other things horror related. I want to make different like videos, maybe ranking things from different horror games, or just making videos about horror games that I like in the style that I make in my trials videos. Kind of now that I've built an audience and kind of see what sticks, but of course I will always primarily be making trials content. But the one thing that I really do want to do is I want to make like Call of Duty Zombies Map retrospectives, but like kind of only for the maps that I really care about, and it'd be like a whole breakdown of the map and kind of talking about it. But yeah, sorry, I'm kind of going on here. Objectively, Franco being the worst prime in the game, but you think he's the best hands down, but you're just joshing me. It seems like you're pulling my chain. I mean, objectively, I kind of think Franco is the worst prime asset. I mean, when you compare him to everyone else. But yeah, thank you for the question. Elite V Assassin asks, question, on average, how long does it take to make a video, especially with the editing and gameplay? It can take a while. I mean, depending on how like kind of locked in I get. I mean, when Outlast Trials puts out new content, I can typically get my recap videos done within like 4 days. But with major season updates, it can take like sometimes about a week, because it's a lot of content to break down. But sometimes I can get it faster. It really just kind of depends on my my level of like kind of not just how I feel in like motivation towards editing and actually working on the video, but also I have a lot of stuff that I'm also doing in real life. And yeah, gameplay is a whole other thing. Scripting, it takes a bit, but roughly anywhere from like 4 days to 2 weeks is kind of the rough estimate on my like video production time. But like the longer videos, I think like the Ultimate Outlast Trials Guide, like I think that like took me a month. I think I was working on that for like a solid month. Complicated Houseplant asks, it's a bit of a silly question, but I was wondering what your beef with Franco was about, lol. I know a lot of people hate him, but for you, it seems personal. Also, if you could have a new prime asset added to the game, what would you want them to be? Are there any concepts that interest you? I love your videos, by the way. Ah, yes, my beef with Franco, a story as old as time. Basically, about a year ago now, actually, me and my friends were playing Escalation like all day for hours and hours straight, and we were having a lot of fun. My friend Dylan, he would always get hunted by Gooseberry. Like, she would just always target him, and Coil would always target our friend Enver. And for me, it just felt like Franco was always targeting me. And on top of that, I didn't really like all of his available MKs and main trials at the time. I mean, I've opened up to a few of his MKs now, and I mean, like, I like his environments inherently like a bit more than I used to. But no, like, he would always target me, and I thought it would be funny if like me and him had personal beef. And when I started this channel, that was like a joke that I wanted to bring in. And of course, with my first video, for anyone who's seen the ultimate guide to the Outlast Trials and who's made it to the very end of that video, I actually got a voice cameo from Daniel Brochu, the voice actor for Franco, to do my outro and physically kill my self-insert character. So yeah, I just kind of personal beef. He fucking blew my brains out. But for the next part of your question regarding the prime asset I would like to have added, I'm just going to respond with the creepy Uncle Lester again, because I just think that would be the funniest thing. But there is one concept that does really interest me, but I'm not going to bring it up yet. I'm going to bring it up later, because I know that there is one specific person who commented asking what my favorite concept is, so I'm waiting for that one to answer it. But there, I will specifically talk about it, because I think it is a really cool concept. So sorry for edging you guys about it, but we will get there eventually. And thank you for loving the videos. I really do appreciate your comment. I love your comment. Reich Diego asks, glad to be subscribed to the Unrenowned GOAT of the Outlast Trials. Would you consider streaming or uploading gameplay videos? Yeah, actually, to be honest, I'm kind of kicking myself that I haven't really done that more. I definitely want to get into streaming on YouTube. I just want to set up like some PNG stuff, so it's a little bit more interactive instead of just watching gameplay. I also like really want to set it up and make it all nice. Like I want to make it all perfect when I get into streaming. But in the regards to like uploading gameplay videos, I do have like another playing custom trials video that I have on the back burner. And I think I would upload more. I think I just, when it comes down to like editing gameplay videos, it's so much more different than editing like the normal style videos that I normally do. But people seem to really like my last gameplay video, which was the Deadly Custom Trials, which I will make a sequel to. So expect eventually that sequel video to come out. And if it does well, then I'll do more. Fairy Winkle says, "Let's go!" As the absolute peak of the Outlast Trials YouTubers and an absolute GOAT, I gotta ask you this. What kind of sandwich would the Expops order at a sandwich place? P.S. Keep up the wonderful videos. It is nice to feel comfort in the trials. Ooh. There are quite a lot of Expops, so I'm not going to go through all of their sandwich orders, or this video is going to reach like an hour, but I'm going to specifically choose the Big Grunt and specifically Danny. I know they don't like actually have names and everyone kind of calls them their own thing, but I think the community name for him is Danny. I think Danny would really fucking enjoy if Murkoff gave him a nice pulled pork sandwich. Like something about him when I go up against him in the trials just tells me that his stomach is really fucking craving a nice good pulled pork sandwich. But before I move on to the next question, again, thank you for the nice kind words, and I'm glad that my videos can give you some sort of sense of comfort in the Sinyala facility. User asks, "You're welcome for 10k subscribers. I told all my bunny friends to subscribe. My question for you is, what would happen if the Outlast Trials was added to Fortnite? What skins would be released first, no matter how disturbing the subject matter is?" Well, firstly, thank you for you and all your bunny friends helping me get to 10,000 subscribers. And if Outlast Trials were to ever come to Fortnite, I feel like they would do like a prime asset collection, like probably all the prime assets, maybe like a reagent skin where you can like customize a few things. But if they solely did it with the Outlast Trials, I could just imagine a straight prime asset collection. But we could probably get some pretty cool back blings and emotes, and I would really fuck with like a middle finger emote, even though obviously that wouldn't really work for Fortnite because I know some skins don't have middle fingers, but yeah. Fanufi asks, "How are you so good at making videos? Also, what's with the Phantom of the Opera Chucky skin? Is that some DBD inside thing? Or did you just see that image you use in your videos and thought it would be cool?" Firstly, if we're going to be talking about the Phantom of the Opera Chucky skin, we need to firstly say, behavior! Please give us a Phantom of the Opera Chucky skin. But of course, I'm a huge Chucky fan, even before the chapter came out in Dead by Daylight. He's like one of my dream licenses. I've always wanted Chucky in Dead by Daylight, and then they added him as a paragraph, which really stung. So I made my video talking about, how I want a full chapter for him, and I thought it would be fun to look at all the costumes Chucky has dressed up as, because, he has that iconic good guy look, he has the stitched look, but he has so many other looks to him. So I was kind of looking through it, and in video games, party hats are kind of my number one now. But growing up, I would always make sure that I wore a suit, like I'd be the Steve Minecraft tuxedo suit. I'd wear a suit in GTA, and any opportunity I would get to wear like a tuxedo in a video game, I would do it. Like when I got Dwight's red tuxedo, that was my main outfit for him. So it's like, if they add Phantom of the Opera as a skin to Chucky, then I could be Tuxedo Chucky, and I just fucking love that idea so much. So behavior, please give Chucky a Phantom of the Opera skin. Alu is okay asks, "Congrats, I am so happy for you, dude. I've been watching you since you made the guide for Outlast, and it's what got me into it. A silly question would be, what's your favorite room decor for your sleep room? Thank you, GOAT." Well, firstly, thank you for sticking around for quite a while, and I'm really glad to hear that my video could help you get into the game. But my favorite room decor for my sleep room would definitely have to be my very beautiful prized possession, the Crest Conversation Hour sign. I'm a big fan of that one. Franco Barbie asks, what's your favorite Expop and Prime asset, and why isn't it me? Well, first and foremost, my favorite Expop is the Jaeger, my favorite Prime asset is Otto and Aurora, and it's not you because you're a little rat fuck.
Exotic Butters
asks, have you seen the Prime asset OCs? If you have, who's your favorite? Mine is Big Bill. I could see him as the big brother of the family dynamic. Yes, I have seen quite a few of the Prime asset OCs, and I know I've been kind of edging the answer to this question for a while, so I was specifically waiting for this question, Exotic Butters, so I've been edging everyone for you, man. But anyways, yeah, so the favorite Prime asset OC I've ever seen would be for actually the family pet to the family dynamic, which I thought was a really, really cool take. I forget exactly who made the concept, but I'll put the image on screen. It's Good Boy. It's like a dog human. That sounds really fucked up. So like I can imagine Murkoff have done horrible things to whoever's in there, and now they're like not even a fucking human anymore. They're just like this rabid dog, and I don't know. I think there's a lot of interesting ways they could go about it, but very, very reminiscent of Tusk. If you've seen Tusk, it's very, very inspired by that, and I just fuck with that idea so heavy. Electro asks, what would you do if the Outlast Trials stopped getting updates? You pretty much cemented yourself as an Outlast YouTuber at this point, and people always talk about when this game will end, if it will ever. Hypothetically, if this game stopped getting updates, how would you feel? Oh, and congrats on 10k, you Unrenowned GOAT. So what would I do if the Outlast Trials stopped like randomly getting updates? Like if Red Barrels randomly was like, all right, we're not updating the games anymore and we're not putting out any new content or a new game for that matter, I'd probably just go back to making the Dead by Daylight chapter retrospectives or some other horror videos that I'm interested in, maybe like top 3 scary YouTube videos explained, or like ranking top 10 scariest doors in horror games. Watch my fucking words, man. I'll make that video. But I can't really imagine Red Barrel stopping the Outlast franchise or Trials, but I definitely, going forward, when Trials does eventually stop getting updates, I'm going to make videos and continue following Red Barrels for as long as they keep putting out the amazing content that they do. But I mean, when Trials does eventually kind of come to an end, it will be a bittersweet feeling, but it's always just joyful to see what's to come in the future. Boomer asks, what do you think is probably the most unrealistic part about the Outlast Trials lore, or what was your least favorite season? Well, I'll answer them both. I think the most unrealistic part about the Outlast Trials lore is like all the programs that the Sinyala facility has set up, like Deep Burn and all this stuff, and how like they changed the trial environments around for MKs when they send reagents in for those. I think it's so unrealistic that Murkoff has such a huge staff of people that are going in and moving all those shit around in the environment and making it like tip-top perfect every single time, like a perfect reset. I think that's the most unrealistic part about it. And then my least favorite season, without a doubt, was fucking Project Relapse. Fucking ugh. Fletch asks, I caught that COD Zombies clip in the video. What's your favorite COD Zombies map? Well, Fletch, I'm actually super happy that you asked. I have 2. My favorite overall Call of Duty Zombies map is Zombies in Spaceland, but my favorite Treyarch original COD Zombies map has to be Zetsubonoshima, and I one day plan to make a fully deep-dived video dissecting that map and everything about it. I love Zetsubonoshima so much. That map means a lot to me. Sir Godot says, hop on Fort with me. Alright dude, I'm in the lobby. Get the fuck on, I'm waiting. Princess Puppy Doll asks, how did you first discover Outlast and Red Barrel? And how did you feel about the other Outlast games? Well, I first discovered Outlast when my cousin let me play it on his PlayStation, and I mean, I guess that's also how I discovered Red Barrels, because I saw the loading screen. And how do I feel about the other Outlast games? I mean, if you ask me objectively what is my favorite Outlast game, I would tell you that it's Outlast Trials, and then Outlast 1, and then 2. I like 2, it's a good game, I just think the first one's better, and I'm really excited to see where the series goes. H. Ventura asks, how can we make sure Red Barrels keeps making content for several more years for the Outlast Trials? Well, I think the best way to do that is to buy copies of the Outlast Trials for all of your friends, and then buy the DLC that's available on whatever like platform you're playing, like the sweet release packs and all those. Buy those, because that's like the #1 way to support Red Barrels, is buying those DLC packs. So I always recommend buying those if you really want to support them. And I guess there's Murkoff coin now, so you could invest in some Murkoff coin. But yeah, of course, if you really do want to make sure the Outlast Trials gets more content, I would recommend supporting Red Barrels with your money, because, you know, money keeps the gears going. Super Dante 21 asks, how long of a lifespan do you think the Outlast Trials will have? And ideally, how will you want it to conclude? Also, congrats on 10K. Here's to more Franco slander. Well, fuck, dude, I could cheers to that one. I personally feel that the Outlast Trials probably has about 3 years left of like live service updates until they probably start like shifting development to Outlast 3. And I really want Trials to conclude where no matter how many prime assets that they have in the game at the time, if they add more after Lilia, I just want like every prime asset in the game to at least have 3 trial environments, and all those environments have the same amount of MKs. I just think that's the perfect way to close the book on Trials. I feel like I'm gonna butcher that name if I try to pronounce it, but they ask, if you were given the opportunity to give each prime asset a new trial map, what would it be? So starting off with Coil, I was originally going to say a prison, but Coil has finally received his prison trial environment. So I feel like the next environment that would make sense for Coil would probably be like a police academy. I feel like that would make the most amount of sense. Then for Gooseberry, I really want her to be the prime asset in charge of the water park. I feel like that's kind of like on brand for her. You know, she's the mother of all these children and all these orphans, and you know, she's taking them out for a nice day at the water park. Then for Franco, I mean, I don't really think he needs another trial environment, to be honest with you. I think the docks, the downtown, and the suburbs all make up his little shitty city, and I think that's where he needs to stay. Now for Otto and Aurora, now we have the mall and we have the TV studio. I would love to see the neighborhood that surrounds the mall and the TV studio. That's like, you know, the neighborhood that lives in that environment of being manipulated by politicians under the Crush Twins. I think that would be really cool to see. And then for Lilia, I'm not too sure if they're gonna put Lilia anywhere else other than the resort. But if they do give Lilia another environment, I have no idea what would be cool for her. I have no idea. Scrappy Wolf asks, what was the process for choosing the dogs and dressing them up? They're so cute. I want to know what made you dress them up as they are. So like I mentioned earlier, I would edit them to like make the dog image look like they were dressed up as the characters that I mained in Siege or Apex. So obviously once I got into Outlast, I just dressed him up as a reagent and I gave him a silly little party hat because my clown wears one. I am so sorry if I butcher this, but Anna Chen asks, what inspired you to make YouTube videos? Was it something that you thought would be neat, or were you planning to make it big with YouTube? Oh no, I did not plan on making it big at all, nor did I think I could. Honestly, the fact that I have 11,000 subscribers still makes my fucking jaw drop to the floor. Like, I actually can't believe it sometimes. But I've always been inspired to make YouTube videos for as long as I've been like consuming the platform. But I'd say like probably my biggest influences to like actually getting me to upload my videos and like making me be like, yeah, I want to do YouTube too, is probably Rowby. If you guys have ever watched some of Rowby's videos, you should. He's a really, really awesome YouTuber. But yeah, I'd say that he probably inspired me to start off. Anyways, moving on to the very last question of the 10,000 subscriber Q&A special, we have Different Faces Suck, as they ask, what caused you to make your channel mascot the beautiful dogs, and do they have any extended dog family members? Also, may I perchance get an early happy birthday for my girlfriend? Her name is Jodie. Firstly, happy birthday, Jodie. I hope you and your girlfriend have an absolutely amazing birthday together, and I hope that it is one of the most goated birthdays of all time. And to answer the other question, I have kind of already answered what has caused me to make J-Juke the channel mascot, so if again referred to like the first few questions. But again, thank you all so much for submitting over 50 different questions for the Q&A special. I know it is quite a long one because I wanted to really, you know, appreciate all of you guys that left comments asking. I'm pretty sure I chose like every single comment. If there's one that I forgot, I am so sorry. But yeah, I hope you all really enjoyed the 10,000 subscriber Q&A special. And before we end the video, I just wanted to thank all the Unrenowned GOATs who are subscribed to the channel membership. So thank you, Quagnom and Glitched Squirrel. So before we go, behavior, please give Chucky a Phantom of the Opera skin. Thank you all so much for watching, and goodbye.